Hello.
Hi, I'm here. Can we start the show now?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Dr. Attalage is here. I think he's here, right? He's
Yeah.
listening.
Yes.
Hear you.
Okay, just give just a minute. Right. Sajit, are you ready to go?
Yes, we can proceed, Doctor.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everybody in the SFC family. I'm Priyanta Vijaysurya. Um, Good evening from Colombo. We are here reading around 9:15 p.m. and I would believe this London time must be close to 4 p.m. And today this EAMA Ask Me Anything show is we are having actually amidst very worrying conditions in the one hand, very serious conditions that we note the eruption of the war in Ukraine, or at least the military movement, and we have to mention that we hope that uh, lives will be saved, and we are having a concern on all the families that would be affected, the children, the senior people, the innocent people. We only hope and pray that their lives should not be affected in any way. So we have to conduct this AMA in a sober level, remembering what it is like in Ukraine right now. So let's get to the, the subject of AMA today. We are joined by a distinguished guest, Professor Rahul Attalage, who was the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the prestigious University of Moratuwa in Sri Lanka, and also currently is um, Dean of Graduate Studies at Sri Lanka Institute of Technology. And I'll let him speak about it, give a self-introduction. So, Professor Attalage, welcome to the AMA show. But let me just also remind you that we are joined by Sachit, who is standing by as my co-host. I'm doing the host because I have worked with Professor Attalage on solar projects before, and we are familiar with each other's eco projects and carbon abatement projects as well. So welcome, Professor Attalage, Rahula, to the show. And how are you today, sir? I know Dr. Attalage has been very busy with government works here with the energy policy and so on. And only today he joined our Telegram group, so he must be getting a little familiarized with himself on the TG use. So, you see,
Yes,
Yeah.
Professor.
can he? All right,
Can you
great,
hear me now?
fantastic.
Yes.
The sweetest noise and
Is it okay?
voice I heard today, Dr. Attalage.
Yeah.
That was a. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
so
You're
concerned.
okay.
All right. Yes, yes, yeah, we can hear you. You speak to me,
You
Dr.
hear me?
Attalage. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, we
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. Yeah. All right. Welcome to the show, Dr. Attalage.
Oh, okay. Yes.
You have to.
Ex-
I'm
Exceptionally
going to
sorry
talk
for.
to you questions, and you have to
Yes, yes.
respond back.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to ask questions, then you respond. So, how are you today, sir? Good to have
Right.
you here. How are you?
Yeah. I'm I'm fine. Great. Except for the power interruption that we have here in Colombo. So other than that, I'm okay. And also with the global situation in Ukraine, we are a bit disturbed by that. So other than that, yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
Thank you for
And
inviting me for the
uh,
event.
appreciate. Yeah, we just express our concern about the Ukraine war situation and the impact on the civilians. We are very distressed about that. Having said it, let's continue our work here with you. And I need to ask you what, for the purpose of educating our audience here, what government and other work, professional academic work do you do and positions you hold very briefly currently? in the Sri Lankan government setup? I hope you heard it. What do you do now with the government? That
Yes,
work you do?
as you have indicated, I am currently working for the Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology as the dean, and well, apart from that, I have been working with the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka as one of the commissioners. Then have been interacting with the Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority in their work in solar energy, energy efficiency standards, codes, and energy auditing, etc. And also with the National Engineering Research and Development Center in developing their engineering projects, in particular related to renewables and industry development, and also assisting the development of machinery and for the current local needs.
Fantastic, Dr. Attalage. That's a very broad scope of work you do. Very useful for the country and the region, for that matter. But Sri Lanka is also functioning as an icon in renewable energy development for other countries. So we had a couple of World Bank assisted credit lines and so on and so forth. So anyway, tell us a little about your school in France. You went and did your PhD doctorate in France. What was the name of the? You don't ask me the name because I can't speak French. But what's the name of the university and what did you do there? The
Yeah,
subject.
right. I got a French government scholarship for postgraduate work. In fact, it was for first to do what they call a degree of profound studies, which is the requirement for prerequisite for doctoral work in France. And then after that, I got admission to the, well, in French, it's Ecole Nationale Supérieure de Mines de Paris. That is, uh, well, for in France, engineering is taught in engineering schools. They don't use the term university. They don't use the term university. So it's school of, if you translate, it's school of mining in Paris, which was which
Okay.
had been started in immediately after the French Revolution, that is in 1792. So it's quite old, but still they maintain the name School of Mining. But my
Good.
main task was in my doctoral work was in energy engineering, and the school is very famous and prestigious uh, school of engineering for energy studies, and they have laboratories and centers in all several places in France, and they are specialized in renewable energy, building energy systems, where my main research work was on, and energy economics, materials in energy systems, and so on. So it's quite reputed and well-recognized institute
Sure, sure,
in
sure.
France.
That's fantastic. I guess you can also still speak a few words of French, right?
Well, I could manage. Still,
Okay.
I meet
Okay,
people
let's go
with
to the next
French.
question. All right,
Yes.
sure. Fantastic. And in Sri Lanka, I would believe that you work in positions that has a bearing on molding up the national policy on energy and so forth, isn't it? Like education
Yeah.
policy.
A little bit. Mainly, yes. Mainly with the intervention of with the Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority. Also, I am member, corporate member, board member, and former president of Sri Lanka Energy Managers Association, which is association comprised of energy professionals in energy, the field of energy, incorporated by an act of parliament, which has a strong arm in policy advocacy and advising the government and government entities like the Sustainable Energy Authority, Ministry of Power and Energy, and so on. So through that intervention, as well as interaction with the Ministry of the Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority and also Ministry of Power and Energy, and largely through the intervention of the Public Utilities Commission. I was there for a period of 10 years, just before the current commission, where
Sure.
the regulatory functions were implemented.
Very good, fantastic. So we have a cross-border experience in you in terms of Public Utilities Commission work, which is also dealing with solar and waste and wind waste and all that stuff as well. So it's a resource and a great privilege to have you here, sir. The other one is about obviously you couldn't have escaped the issues of the global warming problems the world faces for the last 40 years since the Earth Summit in Brazil, about 1992, 93 area, then the Kyoto, then Paris, and quite a few other things as well. How do you see the global warming, uh, s- given the exposure it's recently had in Glasgow, COP26? How do you see that still making an impact? Do you still see I mean, would you see that as a major obstacle in human development still, or do you think that's going away, or is it going to impact more and more? How do you see this global warming and climate change problem coming upon
Yeah.
us?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think if I take the point, uh, the the country case, the Sri Lanka case, so we are supposed to be within the top 10 countries where the global warming and climate change has impacted. So if we take the case of Sri Lanka, I think it is a very good example, and we see that how it has impacted during the last 20 years or so, and what will happen in the coming 30 to 40 years. Our agriculture, water resources, the health, and the coastal zone, and the impact on the infrastructure industry. All these have impacted in a negative way. And at some point, even the scientists were questioning, I think about maybe 2 decades ago, whether global warming was a reality or not. Now I think that question is no longer being raised. People believe and people understand by evidence that it is there, and well, it's up to the big countries over the last uh, 2 to 3 decades with their summits to have taken action. And fortunately, and Glasgow COP26, they have taken initiatives to make sure that future climate temperatures would not go beyond 1.5 degrees. And if so, it will be a real severe problem. And well, after about almost 40 years, the summit was held initially, as you said. Uh, we have recognized and more strongly climate change has followed and has seen through the untold miseries, as I have taken the case of example of the Sri Lankan case. And if I were to highlight, while we were in school, we used to take the CO2 levels atmospheric as 300 ppm, 0.03%. It has gone to the level of reaching 450 ppm. So that evidence is good enough for us to believe and be proactive and extra proactive in handling this issue. We are all in this together. It is uh, an issue, a concern, a problem by itself that we cannot get out of. And so we have created the problem and we have to find the solution together.
Yes, thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Attalage, for that good answer. Obviously, I have to add that the treatment of a disease, when it's delayed, gets severe. The disease and the results and the effect of the disease gets more if you delay the treatment.
Yes.
And the big polluter countries did not join due to various political and industrial reasons. So the
Yes.
polluter pays principle did not apply equally around the world. I would explain. The U.S. Took time to join the climate debate and come in. By that time, the European Union has, of course, marched the heavy progress way towards mitigation, climate, so on, the protocols and so on. But some other mighty countries took time. Um, so with the result that still there is some impedance, some retardation of the north to south issue where the
Mm.
polluter pays principle it doesn't really go well, and I'll come to that in a minute also in terms of the bureaucracy of the UN system. But this antidote of this climate warming, the global warming issue, has been seen partly as through the renewable energy adoption, like solar, wind, and so on and so forth, small hydro. With the 1.5 degrees declaration of the COPs 26, which was a concern, it was an observation that it is still rising. So they said they all committed. All right, let's try to do this limit at 1.5 degrees. But it's just the expectation we have for the coming few years. Do you think with about 70,000 solar panels power being installed,
Hello, Doctor. Dr. Priyantha, hello.
Yep.
sorry about that.
Ah.
Maybe the shock waves of all the Ukraine movement reached my internet and I went off. Sorry about that.
So got disconnected.
But yeah. Um, so how do you see the solar wave of expansion? Do you think this will continue with the global warming being a prospect of kind of gathering more momentum? How do you see
Yeah.
that?
Yes. I mean, just to say, even though COP26 talks of 1.5 degrees Celsius, the recent projections related to Sri Lankan context, it says by the mid of this century, Sri Lanka would expect something in the range of zero point 0.8 to 2 degrees Celsius. So we see that. I mean, so it's the story is not that rosy. So looking at the current trends, especially the solar photovoltaic, with its development in material, the technology, the Generation 3 technology, etc. Currently, we have solar installed about quite close to 725 gigawatts, and by 2030, reaching about 2,800 gigawatts. That's expected, and that is based on looking from the recent the growth. So therefore, this will give more than any other renewable energy source, and time the technology is developing, the costs are coming down, the levelized costs of electricity is coming down, and in addition, of placing the panels, the issue of the land is being challenged. The floating solar, being integrated solar, and also talking of solar highways. So I'm sure that this take new path or consolidate the path that it has taken and looking at the growth. So this will be a major facilitator or driver to bring the temperature rise to the threshold of 1.5, not to wait until 2 degrees Celsius that I discussed earlier or decided earlier.
Sure. Dr. Attalage, I think it will be helpful to have your device straight and stationary. I think it's some movement. I detect maybe
Right.
it shows. Yeah. Anyway, let me just go to next question or more issue. While that's thanks for that answer. Obviously, I also see the expansion of the climate, renewable energy, uh, the industry. But that's the very reason why solar full cycle is here as well. I had to add that more solar panels and more turbines, wind, all that will bring a huge recycling problem. That's why we are here today. And let me come back to still we are looking at the expansion mode of the solar industry and the renewable energy industry because that's what makes us be present here today. At the same time, do you see any impediments, difficulties, challenges at the what makes people install these solar panels and everything is one reason is for the energy and replace the fossil fuels on the one side. The other one, the industry, the entrepreneurs are doing this all world over for carbon credit and various other renewable energy credits. When it comes to the United Nations framework for climate change, you call UNFCCC, it's a long word. Um, there are some noted impediments and challenges that which are inherent in that process itself, UN process, which makes some projects not move at all. Have you observed this, like the United Nations uh, process application, bureaucracy? Because there's bureaucracy in anything. There's positive bureaucracy as well, negative as well. So do you see, have you experienced any impediments in the United Nations carbon program where the more greenness doesn't come in because of these challenges where people want to get in, but they cannot do it and they cannot earn the carbon credits due to some other reasons? Did you follow my question, Dr. Attalage? No, have we lost him? No.
It seems he's online, but let's wait a few seconds.
For the knowledge of our audience, Sri Lanka is currently having a power crisis. Some of our thermal generators cannot be loaded. I mean, with fuel, and there's not enough fuel in the country, and there's droughts also. So we're having some power cuts that affects the communications and everything like that. Internet is sometimes down and so on and so forth. But currently we are managing somehow. Dr. Attalage is there. Can you respond to my earlier question?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, Dr. Attalage.
Yeah. Can hear
We
you?
can, yeah. We will continue.
Yes.
Now you can hear me. Yeah, I asked you about the challenges at the UN level to earn carbon credits by people who want to actually go green and do these carbon abatements. But
Yes.
I see some issues. Can you respond to that briefly? Do you
Yeah,
see that?
that was explaining. I mean, with the information that I have through personal connections and communication, so it appears that the protocols, well, of course, even the FCC would go with scientific basis of IPCC, and but still, all this appears that the protocols and the bureaucratic administrative structure lend long periods to get this approved, and therefore it kills this the process, which is the bottom line of this exercise. For example, trees, solar panels, and things like that. Getting into the addition, everything with this process.
Yeah. Again, there's I think a small issue with your mic or your phone.
I think
So
it's
I hope
probably
you
the
can
connection.
hear me. Yes. At the same time, all right. So there are some additionality-based problems and so on. But if you are looking at uh, the recycling coming home to our subject, how do you see the existence of regulatory provisions to recycle renewable energy equipment? Do you see that as evenly placed around the world? What's your knowledge about the obligation of producers, users, all that of the solar renewable industry to recycle panels, equipment?
Professor, you may log out from the Telegram and please log in back. So I think it will work.
Yeah, let's wait for him to return.
Okay.
Hello,
Dr.
Professor.
Attalage is back.
Yeah.
Can you hear us? Yeah, all right.
Yes. You can
So,
hear me.
so, that was all technical problems here in Sri Lanka. All right.
Where
And
were we?
I asked you
Regarding
about the regulatory
right.
provisions to have
Yes.
people comply with recycling
Yes.
with all
I
these
think
numbers. Big. How do you
right.
see the around the from Sri Lanka to the rest of the world?
Right. Probably Sri Lanka may be probably one of the worst examples. I mean, if you take our nearest neighbor, they have a very ambitious, target-oriented solar scheme. But
You're speaking
even
about
then,
India.
India. Even
Hmm.
then, so it's very ambitious targets for installation of the solar PV systems in general solar, mainly solar PV. But unfortunately, even India, they don't have a proper waste management regulatory system, the guidelines, the protocols, nothing is available. But EU, which has a lot of experience in forefront in this recycling business, they are assisting India to develop their recycling and administrative and management capabilities and protocols. So very soon they will be, as one of the largest installers in solar photovoltaic, they will be in on the platform. And I think we should not wait until the others do and to be the followers. We should, at the small scale, we should also start this waste management, solar PV waste management, and also any renewable energy. When it can be sometime later for wind energy. And at the moment, we only have this electronic waste licensees. There are about 15 licensees for electronic waste, but that doesn't specifically include the solar PV. So it's high time to start, but we can very well get experience from EU countries like EU PV waste. There are companies which are operating on this, so we can make use of their experience and start working on that. Because it appears that dumping, as you said, would cost about $1 or $2 as opposed to doing recycling of panels might be 10 times or 20 times than dumping cost. So it's obviously it goes to the landfill, and it is then we will have to wait until all these the metal waste get into the soil and then act on the problem which we have created.
Let me add to what you're saying as part of the answer. Is now, for example, uh, you would be surprised to know that even in we have covered this before, but the United States has got two regions which has got sufficient mandate, legal mandates, laws, statutes in place. That is the Californian side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that's the Washington state.
Washington,
There's
yes,
got they have laws to have some form of uh, recycling,
yes,
where no one in the no panel manufacturer can come and sell a panel unless the panel's price, buying price, has not included the recycling cost.
recycling,
So
yeah,
so if the manufacturer is caught selling without that buyback arrangement or the cost being in place in the price, he is not allowed to sell a second panel in that Washington state. So that's
yeah,
Washington state. Then you have a couple of California-based locations where recycling is mass is coming up, and also there's a move to push the WEEE ordinance of the European Union into America. Currently, it's somewhere there, but it's not fully adopted. And the U.S. has a huge solar installation belt from Arizona to Texas to that side, so it's
yeah,
required there. But there are reasons you can't blame the Americans for this, but that's how it has been. The commercial easy way out is to dump when the laws are
absolutely.
not there, just like in Sri Lanka or India. India again, the Japan, the NEDO, and the Ministry of Environment has teamed up, and they are developing their own standards and so on. So there are small patches of movement around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Again, coming to the U.S., you have Solar Energy Industries Association (SEIA) and NREL, National Renewable Energy Laboratories, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Those they have also developed some good test specifications that will even enforce, compel industrialists to recycle their panels. But these are
Right.
isolated and noted
Yes,
regions
yes.
of activity and
Mm-hmm.
places. Yet
And
it's the
to
hmm?
Priyanta, to add to what you said, they this Washington and California, they also have this
Hmm.
extended producer responsibility (EPR) embedded
Exactly.
into there, and also
Yeah.
each power purchase agreement will be done or signed if and only if the waste recycling is part and parcel of the agreement.
Right.
So
Okay.
likewise,
That's
yeah.
great.
So yeah,
So we are there as Solar Full Cycle to not only to enhance recycling activities. We are there to as a pressure group pressurizing
Mm.
legislators to bring in all the way from here to the Cape, South Africa to other places, Argentina, South America, so on. Let's jump straight on to another one, which is about talking about the blockchain and the prospects of the solar full cycle to educate our family here. And you know that the General Electric Company, for example, the largest electrical company in the world, they manage their power assets through the blockchain because it's efficient. Then there are some other big blocks companies who manage their power assets and other assets to the blockchain. How do you see, as a professor and a practical person, the use of the blockchain here by solar full cycle to go on to this process of recycling? Also, we have a token, a crypto token in circulation. We index our activities to the token. So, how do you see the blockchain being used to reach the larger part of the world? Because blockchain is coming up, it's being adopted in many things like auto,
Mm-mm.
medical management, health management, roads infrastructure. So, how do you
And
see the
yeah,
blockchain being used
I,
by us? Any
yeah,
criticisms, any
yeah,
areas to improve?
you're absolutely right. I think it is identified as one of the extremely efficient system for this uh, management issues, and especially for climate change issues. It can be used very effectively. And when it comes to climate finances, the blockchain can be directly applied, and therefore, uh, I mean, entities like SFC, you can think of providing the leadership to adopt these the the concepts and experience into the management of the recycling in the form of climate financing business case to be efficiently handled. I think it's a good option and something that you should look forward to, because sharing the experience, why we should not make use of what has been already done and where the results have been seen as positive.
Right. No, one of the difficult questions we have faced from our own family is the investors who come in here are commercial, semi-commercial, and cost-based investors. So quite a few varieties of investors we have.
Hmm.
Uh, when you make an investment, you have to try to make a return. And
Yes. Hmm.
one of the difficulties of answering some of the concerns, not the difficulties of doing this, has been that when investor aspirations are to recover the investment they make in our token and also see some good results on the physical side, and then the solar panels stay for about 10 to 25 to 30 years sometimes in life, and then we have to find innovative other ways to bring back the investment fast and keep them in the loop. So one of the things we have been doing this to index the climate problem to our coin,
Hmm.
and we have a couple of these eco tokens coming up. So because in my own view, all the dealings under the sun we live in any country is has to be indexed to the climate. Because if you ignore the climate and do business dealings, it's like a cancer, right? It's
Yes. Yes.
the effect will come sooner or
Something.
later.
Yeah.
So
Sooner or later. Yes.
commercial market, people say, hey, let's ignore the climate and let's do the business. It
Hmm.
won't happen anymore that way. So what I was trying to say is that our crypto token investors to the blockchain here,
Hmm.
our management team has to reckon with this issue and add value to their investments on the one side, with the climate finance also being a reality soon. It's already is, with a lot of
Hmm.
the carbon credit itself is a mechanism where the climate concern, the jeopardies have been brought into a climate change ton called CERs, which is certified
Hmm.
emission
Hmm.
reduction, so
Hmm.
called carbon
Hmm.
ton of
Yes.
carbon reflects how the climate peril has been transformed into a tradable commodity here. So, how do you see this happening, extending from carbon credits to other areas where people realize without a sound environment, when you step out of the house, there's no point doing any good business. So
Hmm.
we are basically trying to do this. So how do you see the eruption of these activities through the blockchain?
Yeah.
People following up,
Yes. Isn't there a, I was just thinking, isn't there a potential business case for, okay, recycling? Because you see, all the panels, as you said, it lasts for 20, 25 years, and it contains precious uh, metallic elements, and which can be, well, the current technology is available, but it does not come to a level where it is economically attractive as a business case. But strengthening that case to make the whole full cycle and promoting the business case, and there could be many takers to see how this can be incorporated in, because currently it is open cycle, right? So
Yeah,
whether
that's a good observation, Dr.
Mm, mm,
Attalage.
yeah,
It's like this. Now, this business case of extraction of precious and expensive metals from the panel, currently those technologies are
yeah,
semi-commercial.
mm,
Some are developed in the UK, US. There's even technologies to extract the silver from the
yeah,
solar
yes,
panels. Solar panels carry a trace amount of silver to enhance conductivity.
mm,
So
mm,
those technologies have now just round the corner, reaching the hotspot here,
yes,
and that business case is being built up. That's why people in this our family we have this course level
right,
course level investors who like to look at this emergence of these business realities and slanting that towards the climate change and having a business out of it
mm,
is coming around the corner. So those for your information, when you mentioned that the technology is like extraction of cadmium and silver
ruthenium, yeah,
is now
ruthenium, yes,
almost there. Yeah.
yeah,
Except the other way of recycling a solar panel, as it's done commonly in Australia, for example, you go up
mm,
and you bring the panel back to the your yard of recycling EE store, electrical electronics, and you bang
right,
up the hammer the panel open, recover the metal, put it in a
right,
basket and the other side and chop it up. But that's called recycling. You chop it up, you take it apart. So, but
right,
those fine-tuned technologies haven't gone in most of these EE
yeah,
factories
mm-hmm.
around the world. So that when that business came enters this scenario, this becomes a very attractive business proposition. I think it's already
Yeah,
has in parts of
yes,
Europe and so on. Licensed, patented metal recovery mechanisms are there. We are looking at them. We are talking to them. We're talking to a professor who's invented metal recovery process through an exchange program in
okay,
the
mm-hmm.
metal compound. So we are also looking at a US company which is extracting silver. Uh,
Right,
those things are being looked at, and we are talking to EE recyclers on advanced methods of recovery, not just recycling and just recovering the aluminium frame and metal frame and whatnot.
yeah, it can be
So
decentralized in the region, um,
well, I had to
as
add to this, Dr. Attalage, current projection by 2030 will be this will be a US dollar, about 17 billion dollar industry, the recycling industry just from the solar panel waste.
right,
So
not very
it's a
far from now,
sizable, not
not very
so
far
far
from
from
now.
now. Yeah.
Mm,
So those enabling technologies are around the corner. So that will be that huge when it comes. Yes.
yep. So I think
So
that's
it's
good
just
news
yeah,
for
yes,
innovative uh, business creators can take up to see the feasibility to take it to the
yeah,
level of regional level.
yeah, right. Yeah, I have to add that in the solar panel world, no panel needs to stay for 20, 25, 30 years to be recycled. Some parts in the
Right.
developed world where there is more money, like in Australia, in the
Mm-hmm.
US, people replace solar panels as they replace cars. In two,
Right.
3 years
Right.
down the line, if a new high efficiency panel is announced, they trade off. You give the
Yeah.
old and take back a new one, they have a rebate. So that industry also has started up,
Yeah.
which means that solar need not go for
Entire
the
life.
entire spell of 20 years.
Right.
So because
Right.
innovative financing agencies, insurance, reinsurance, they have entered this scenario and they trade in solar panels just like we change watches and
Mm.
various kitchen gadgets.
Same with building system, building energy system equipment. I mean, they don't wait for
Hmm.
the entire life. Well, they see
Exactly.
when the new
So that
technology comes, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
that
replacement. Yeah.
progression is coming to Sri Lanka as well, but
Yeah.
it's we are very far from it. When I used to install solar panels, we used to vouch and pledge the panel will stay with them for 20 years to
For
overheat.
20 years. Yes.
And I've stayed
Same,
with
same with
that
me.
notion.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's what Sri Lankan affordability is all about. Okay, he can't
Yeah.
think of replacing the panel. And
Yeah.
he's
Uh,
asking me, hey, are you sure I'm going to use this for 20 years? I say, yes, of
yeah.
course. And that's
Yeah,
it.
I don't know whether you remember the European cars were
Hmm.
initially when they were designed engineered for life. That was their unique selling point.
Yeah,
European
sure,
vehicles, but
sure.
now 3 years, 4 years maximum, it will be
Yeah.
another vehicle. So it will be the same situation, right? Cars
Like you
30 years.
find a couple of these Australian-made Holdens and all that around the corner here and there.
Mm.
All right, so we have come to the end of the show here with Dr. Professor Rahula Attalage, formerly Vice-Chancellor of the University of Moratuwa, now Dean of
Deputy,
Graduate
yeah,
Studies, Sri
yeah.
Lanka Institute of what's that, SLIT,
Information
right?
technology, Sri Lanka
Information
Information
Technology, yes.
Institute of Information Technology. Yeah,
Technology. So here we are. We have him right here with us. That's fantastic, and we
yeah.
hopefully can rely on him for the guidance of SFC path. We are clearly on a eco-finance, climate finance based path here, and we have to hedge this with various other commercial realities. But the actual commercial realities of the world are now being indexed towards the climate problem. So yeah,
Mm.
that's a bit of a good news for us because we
Right.
need to
Mhm.
fulfill our investor aspirations.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dr. Atalage, for
Yeah.
joining us, and we
And
look
I
forward to your
think
support.
from my side, thanks for inviting me. I'm sure SFC is in the correct footing and in the correct direction of activities. And looking at the dynamics of the region and dynamics of the continent, I think it's the time with the blockchain concept integrating. I'm sure you can be an innovative SFC can be an innovative entity to make real change in the local dynamics, not only local, regional. So thanks once again for inviting me to be. Sorry for this few
I
hiccups.
have to just add a small comment there. We are building up our fronts in various countries. We signed up with Australia in New South Wales, a company
Okay,
which is solar installer signed up with us, and their activities will extend to sourcing other companies which are solar asset owners to have them bind themselves to this recycling mandate of us. We'll work with them and with our tokens also being hedged there. Then we are talking to a Greece entity who was on our
okay,
show, a professor who worked with me. Then we are also looking at West Africa. We are hopefully signing up a agreement with Japan tomorrow, if not next week. So we are building fronts in these countries where interested parties see this as a problem. Now, would you believe that Japan has a huge solar waste problem?
I guess
Yeah,
yes,
just like
yes.
India. Yeah, it was a pioneer in solar insulation, so it was a huge problem now coming up. So we have made a request. So hopefully we are signing up tomorrow. I'm meeting them, or next week we'll do that. So anyway, thanks, Dr. Atalage,
Okay.
and thanks for this time. Sachit, any last minute announcements you have?
Yes, Doctor. Yes, and first of all, thank you very much for joining us, Professor Athalage. It was a great
Thank
opportunity for
you.
us. And also, I want to thank
And we
all of
have to
our
thank Sachit for helping out with the
Yes.
technicalities, which was a
we
major challenge
we
in these
said
blackouts we have in Sri Lanka with
right.
serious blackouts.
Exactly,
Obviously,
exactly.
yes, yes. Yes. Mhm.
So also, I want to thank all of our community members for joining this podcast and becoming a member of SFC family. Besides that, I want to remind all of our members, our team will be delivering all the important announcements on announcement Telegram channel and SFC group on Telegram. And also, we will not DM, I mean, we will not message for funds or anything. We only respond to you on the group chat. Please please find the message below for all the links for our socials. Yes, yes, doctor.
So, right. Thank you very much. And
Oh,
thanks, SFC family. We'll keep a watchful eye on the Ukraine very sad situation. So we, again, our praise and our thinking goes to those people there, the innocent people. We hope they
yeah.
won't be harmed through this dispute. All right. Thank you. Good night,
Okay.
everybody.
Hope peace will regain. And okay, all the very best to SFC in your endeavors. And good night for the time being. Right. Okay.
Good night. Thank you.
Yes,
Good
Bye.
Professor.
night.
We are
Thank
hoping
you.
to talk
Yeah.
to you again on our Telegram once more.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
In
thank you
better
very much.
conditions of power. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Good night.